Today, we're going to talk about 4 things that you can stop doing to improve your life and improve your money fast. What's up, family? Welcome back to another episode of Financial Freedom Fast Lane. And you know the vibes. The quicker you get to your dream life, the longer you get to live it. And I'm your host, George Achimpong. And today, we're going to talk about 4 things that you can stop doing to improve your life and improve your money fast. All right, so let's get into it. First and foremost, I am now a mushroom coffee drinker, right? If someone would have told me, 45 days ago that I'd be drinking mushroom coffee, I probably would tell them that they were not telling the truth. But this stuff is actually good, and I really enjoy it. And I honestly think it can be a complete replacement for regular coffee. It's really healthy for you. So I might link it in the show notes so you guys can check it out. But it's really good. It's called Rise, and I've been on it for a couple weeks now, and I absolutely love it. So cheers. Now let's get into it. Okay, so oftentimes what I realize about success, like when you want to level up, it's not about what you can add, it's about what you can subtract, right? It's about what can you remove that's preventing your ascension of success. And so there's a lot of different things, but I wanted to narrow it down to 4 key things I think will help everybody, especially as we get closer to ending out the year. I think these things will be really helpful. So number 1 is unfinished business, right? Unfinished business. So we have this illusion in our mind that if something isn't like a present task or present priority, that it is not taking up mental bandwidth and it doesn't have an impact on us. And that couldn't be further from the truth, right? So when you think about your iPhone, for example, or even your computer, have you ever had multiple tabs open on your computer? You're not necessarily using those applications or using that browser, but it is draining your battery. It is slowing down your computer. Why? Because it's taking up space. Same thing for your phone, right? If you have all those apps in the background that you forgot to close out, it's causing a hidden drain on your battery. And so that is a direct translation to how it works in real life, right? So if you have things that you haven't addressed, a tough conversation that you've been avoiding, not checking your credit score, not calling back that bill collector, whatever it is, like unfinished business, right? You might think that, okay, when I get done with this thing, I will address that thing, or when I get the money, I'll go back and fix it. But the challenge is, it's like you trying to run with a book bag full of bricks and ankle weights. Like you thinking that you're tabling it for another day and trying to run to the next thing, the shiny ball that you think is gonna solve all your problems, is actually slowing you down from being your highest self, right? So if you have unfinished business, you gotta be willing to face that uncomfortable and difficult task or conversation or whatever it might be, so that it can liberate you to actually operate at the highest level, right? When you close out all the tabs and you restart the computer, it probably runs a lot faster. So you think that you're being productive, trying to, avoiding those emails you need to respond to, avoiding all those other tabs, and you're doing whatever it is that is your current distraction, but you're not in the right mental framework because you have so much unfinished business that you have not unpacked. So many thoughts that need to be delegated, done, outsourced, completed, whatever, right? So if you could start prioritizing and addressing your unfinished business, so that you can move more freely and more fluid in your thinking, in your creativity, I promise that will help you excel in whatever it is that you're trying to do. All right, this next one is for my entrepreneurs or just my really ambitious people. You have got to stop overcommitting, right? And I am preaching to the choir on this one because I sometimes think that, I know they say Rome wasn't built in a day, but I think I can build 7 Romes in a day at times, right? And my schedule is stacked to the brim. I got all this stuff on there. And oftentimes I don't get all of it done, right? And sure, we can say shoot for the moon, fall amongst the stars. But the way the brain works, psychologically and technically, is that if you set out to do these things and then you don't get some of them done, it's going to feel like you missed the mark or you failed. And that is going to be psychologically discouraging, right? So what I would rather have you do is actually commit to a workload that's actually realistic. Don't try to burn the candle at both ends, because the reality is this: life is going to present scenarios beyond your control where it's going to happen organically anyway. So there's no need to force it. There's no need for you to push your finger down on the calendar and move it from Monday to Tuesday to Friday to Sunday to next week to next month to next year, all because you were just extremely overambitious, right? So ask yourself, what are the top priority things that I need to get done for the day? Get those things done. And if you have additional space, cool, knock it out, right? And sometimes just be content knocking out what you knock out, as long as you focused on the high priority activities. Because when you focus on high value tasks or high priority activities, it's going to feel liberating. You're going to feel like you did a day's worth of work because you actually ate the frog, right? You actually did the thing that actually moved the needle, and it was high priority. You were the only person that could solve that problem. You were the only person that could move that needle. You were the only one that could push that rock. And as a result, real progress was made, right? So try to get out of the habit of overcommitting. Again, preaching to the choir here, because I think I can do it all the time. And I know that is not the case, right? So try to prioritize really setting key goals, key milestones, things that will really move the needle. Knock those things out. And then if you have space, feel free to potentially add some stuff back to your calendar. But instead of just overstacking your calendar and every day you're not moving the needle on most of that stuff, there's just no point in doing that, right? All right, so this next one is a derivative of the one I just talked about, but essentially we have to stop underestimating what it actually takes to get these things done, right? Because oftentimes what happens, this is kind of the reason why you overcommit probably, right? Like you put something on your calendar, it's this arbitrary time block. I think it's going to take me 45 minutes to do this, or an hour to do this, or 15 minutes to do that. And you haven't actually sat down to validate, right, what is actually required to get this thing done, right? So what ends up happening is you grossly underestimate what's required to get the task done. And that is the reason why you don't end up getting as much done as you want to get done. And then you end up having to move things from one day to the next, from 1 week to the next, and you end up overcommitting to what you thought you could do, right? So make sure that you have a thorough assessment and a thorough understanding of what it takes to get certain things done. Sharpen twice, cut once. Dig into it. Like, what is actually required? What do I think is going to take to do it? Really forecast that out, and then let that dictate what you realistically can commit to. Because in the moment, it's like, oh, I can do this, I can do that, I can do this. Then you get in the middle of it, it's like, oh my gosh, like this one thing is gonna take me 6 hours, right? So do a little bit more front-end due diligence. Make sure you understand what it takes to get things done. And even if you do all of that, there's still gonna be unforeseen circumstances, right? So you should overestimate almost what you think it's going to take to get it done. Because worst case scenario, you just finish early, right? So we have to stop underestimating what we think it's required to get certain things done. All right, last but not least, we have to stop not scheduling everything, right? If you don't make it a priority, it's not going to happen. A lot of times what people do is like, oh, well, I'm not going to put the gym on the schedule because it's not business or it's not work. I'm going to just get it done. I'm not going to put reading on the schedule. I'm not going to put spending quality time with people I love on the schedule. I'm not going to put reaching out to so-and-so. I'm not going to put cooking. I'm not going to put getting ready or showering. But the reality is all these things take time. And so one of the reasons why you keep missing the mark on your schedule is because, again, you aren't factoring in every ingredient in the recipe. How do you expect the dish to turn out how you want it to turn out? You're not even including all the ingredients in the recipe. And that's how it is when you have a schedule, right? And you're leaving out things because you think, oh, those things are just going to happen. They don't need to be put on my calendar. Well, show me where it's happening on your calendar. Show me where you've estimated and done the due diligence on the capacity required to get that thing done and how that stacks up with your overall things that you got to get done. That is adding and contributing to the fact of why things aren't working out when it comes to your schedule, because it's not even factored in, right? It's a by the way thing. If it's not there, it didn't happen. The same way people say if you traveled to this place or went to this place, and you didn't post about it on social media, it didn't happen. If it's not on your calendar, it's not going to happen. Or more realistically, what will happen, out of sight, out of mind, and you'll end up doing filler stuff, right? And it's like, dang, why didn't I do such and such? Or what happened to me wanting to do this? It's because it wasn't on your calendar. And you just thought it was going to happen. So then when you looked at your calendar, it's like, oh, today doesn't look that crazy. I got time. So then you kind of BS, right, some of your time because you think you got time, only to realize that there were several things that weren't on your calendar. So if you have particular things for your nutrition and health and wellness plan, that should be on your calendar. If you have specific things on your calendar for hobbies and recreational activities, that should be on your calendar. Specific things for relationships, specific things for business, mental health, whatever. Don't just think that's going to happen or have it on some arbitrary to-do list that's not reflected on your calendar, because guess what? It's not going to happen. If you're hearing these dings and chimes in the background, that's because people are active and excited inside of our Melanin Millionaires Club. I know that was kind of a quick segue right into a commercial, but I would be remiss. I don't talk about this often. I rarely ever actually talk about it. But we have a community of aspiring first generation millionaires who are looking to be the wealth starters for their family. If that's you, if you want a community of people who are marching towards the same goal as you, go to the show notes and check out melaninmoney.com/join to learn more about the Melanin Millionaires Club. All right, now back to your regular scheduled program. So guys, hopefully that thought process is helpful in you reframing how you need to structure your time. I'm not sure if I've done a podcast episode or a show on this, but I know I've said it before, and I'll say it again because it's relevant. Look at your goals like the same way you look at cooking, okay? The recipe, right, is the goal. This is what you want to accomplish. The ingredients is the to-do list. These are the things that you have to do in order to make this goal happen or this recipe happen, okay? And then the cook time is the amount of time it's going to take you to make it. Because here's the thing. If you have the perfect goal, i.e. the perfect recipe, and you have all the ingredients, but you have not allocated time to start marching towards making said recipe or achieving said goal, guess what's not going to happen? Or what happens if you have a bunch of stuff on your to-do list, but you have no North Star, you have no goal? So guess what? You're just going to be aiming in the dark and you don't know what you're going to hit. So all of these elements is important when it comes time to achieving what you want to achieve. And that's not going to happen if you underestimate what's required to get it done, right? If you keep not addressing unfinished business, not remembering to schedule everything, right? And over committing, right? Those are the things that if you can solve for those, your path to success and freedom is going to be that much faster. All right, guys, thanks so much for tuning in to another episode of Financial Freedom Fastlane. And as you know, the quicker you get to your dream life, the longer you get to live it. Freedom is for sale if you're willing to pay the price.